A long, long time ago,
I can still remember.
we went deep into Antarctica. Well, we didn't actually go, but my videos about life there were probably so good that you were transported. My mom said that. Well, people that lived on Antarctica got in touch and they volunteered to answer your questions. And you guys came up with great questions, and some not so great. So here's what life is like on Antarctica from people who've lived it.
Obviously, I'm not in Antarctica anymore, but I would love to answer your questions.
This is Joe. You may know him from his very popular TikToks, and if you don't, well, now you do. Joe was part of the medical team over winter at the South Pole base. He also wore a shirt for us. Thanks, Joe.
I had honestly worked really hard for a couple of years to go down there. It was my goal to go down there.
This is Nelly. She lived at McMurdo Station during summer, which is like the big city compared to where Joe was.
And I was a heavy equipment mechanic, so I worked in the VMF. As long as you don't buy anything, you aren't spending any money on alcohol, you probably came home with a good amount of cash.
On station, there's not much to spend money on, but we actually can spend money in the store, and that's for like souvenirs and clothing and stuff like that. But also it's for alcohol.
There are bars down there.
Which is probably the main expense that most people have on station.
That is how most people spend their time. Now, for relationships down there are people that get married down there. There are people that only have ice marriages, which means like they may have a spouse back in the States, but down on the ice, they have an ice wife.
They try to have as many activities for us there to do to stave away the boredom and depression as much as possible. We have almost a full-size basketball court.
We actually have 3 gyms.
There's 2 lounges for watching movies.
Treadmills and ellipticals.
There's a library.
Play soccer down there.
We played volleyball twice a week.
The 4K.
We also have full spectrum lamps, sometimes called happy lights.
A lot of people are running around the town, surprisingly.
So we had the South Pole Olympics. We created 20 different events, and it was a whole lot of fun. This is an interesting question that everybody asks because we're at the center of all time zones, right? We're at the point where all the lines of longitude converge, but we're actually on New Zealand Standard Time, and that's because all the cargo and passengers and everybody has to come through Christchurch, New Zealand. Actually, the world's southernmost post office is there at the South Pole Station. There's an address you can send mail down there and get packages to, but it's absolutely seasonal because we can't get anything in or out during the winter season. People don't really grasp how huge Antarctica is. The South Pole Station, I believe, is about 800 miles from McMurdo, and so it's about a 4-hour flight on the turboprop aircraft.
Because we were so close to the New Zealand base, there are people that are in relationships, and the Kiwis would come stay at our station. The skuas, which are the birds, the seagulls, they run McMurdo. They will like land on your vehicle and you're not allowed to move that vehicle until that bird flies away. The penguins, they'll come right into town. They'll try to come right up next to you. You're also not supposed to be within so many feet of them, but they are so adorable.
It has to be stored. All the trash is sorted.
You have different bins for everything. It is very strict.
Compacted, if it can be, and palletized.
Like you could get in possible trouble for not separating your trash.
And basically just sealed up until winter is over and it can be loaded onto the road train or the overland traverse or a cargo plane to be flown out. Chefs we had during my year were amazing.
Very much like school food, military food. It is great though. Like they definitely put a spin on things.
Tandoori chicken to pad thai.
I had crab legs down there one time.
Homemade American meals like Thanksgiving roast turkey.
Shrimp cocktail.
And they rotated it through every week or 2.
Always Taco Tuesday.
I do think we had the best chefs on the continent for the time I was there. I would say the top pro is just the people.
Pretty much see the same people over and over.
You've all decided to be at the station, away from society. The bond you make with them is pretty amazing. You don't see any new faces for the better part of a year.
It was nice being away from the world.
The top con actually is not the cold.
I was on the mid-rat schedule, so I worked nights. There were very few mid-rats.
I would say it's probably the darkness. Not seeing the sun for 6 months straight is pretty tough.
I was there during the summer. You do have to be very active to avoid depression. It is very closed off. If you don't have social media, like, you probably won't know anything that's going on.
Contrary to popular perception, you don't actually have to be a scientist to go down there. The U.S. Antarctic program uses one main subcontractor, Leidos. They take care of everything from food work in the kitchen, to IT services, to logistics, to healthcare, like I was. The easiest way to find out if you're a good fit for one of those jobs is just to Google USAP contractors, and you can find out the different types of jobs that are down there.